focus left to cast spells. So okay, well then, so we changed it. So let's just make the damage so low that it's balanced that way. Well, then there's no point in having it if the damage is so low. Like then there's no, so there was no way to really balance that against other ranged attacks. So without ammo, so that's why we took it off. All right.
Although I presume you're still open to rethinking it.
We will continue to evaluate and balance it, but no, it has not received a good balance pass or just yet.
Yeah, we're still not happy with where it ended up. Jay Bardis wants to know, is there any chance we get a configuration option for the low health haze?
I second this notion.
Sure.
It is, I hate it. It comes on and scares the crap out of me. At 50% health, it's way too low. And it's too dramatic when it comes on.
Sure. Yes, great suggestion.
Write a Jira, Richard.
All right. Sir Grant wants to know, are polearm combos forthcoming? Yes, as there will be combos for everything.
I hereby commit to doing at least one polearm combo for this release.
What?
Someone needs to remind me of that.
Polearm combo.
Polearm combo. Richard Jira.
Okay, polearm combo. What was the last Jira?
The other one was a config option for low health haze.
You can put those both on me.
Config option for low health.
Just put
haze.
Yeah, and give them to me. I know.
Oh, this is good. This is rich. This is you see, Richard's like, what is this low health haze you guys are talking about? Oh, right.
Because he's never seen it.
Because he's never seen it. Cheater.
Yes, I have. I've seen the red glow that comes in the side.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Doctor wants to know, do you think there will ever be a possibility to create a tree for punching? I mean, unarmed attacks.
I think that's a great idea.
We've probably not for episode 1, but we have talked about having a martial arts / unarmed tree. Browncoat Jason, Richard would love to hear this one. The words of power were announced. When will we see them added to spells in the game?
Yes, I am very glad to hear that one. This is yet another one of the long litany of early design issues that I've been arguing with started to get pushed back to the front. I've already done a bunch of Jira work on it just before this hangout to make sure that everybody knew exactly what those words should be, that it was all assigned properly, to make sure all the data was correctly, and I bumped it up in priority 1 to try to get it in sooner than later. But we'll see if Star lets it survive or not. It should be easy, low-hanging fruit. It's just some words.
And wasn't the task number like 13,000?
Yeah, so it's from years ago.
So just so players understand, that means that 20,000 things were considered more important than this task up to this point. And 20,000, because we're on like in the 30,000s for our
and by the way, just so that all of you out there will know the push that I've been now making of late. In fact, I sent to Star right as this hangout started. I was drafting it just before the hangout. Sent it in the first 5 minutes or first 2 minutes of the hangout to Star. Was sort of my ongoing argument for some of the foundational things that I really believe made the Ultima series great. The moments in Ultima 4, the moments in Ultima 7, and a lot of things from Ultima Online that we need to deliver on really well. And many of them are now past their point of being easier. They're becoming retrofitting to make them work easily. Some of them are which is they were pushed away because they didn't used to have dependencies, but now to go correct some of these, they're beginning to get some backwards dependencies that will be demanded of them. So now is the time to get them in. So yes, this one fits that same category of let's easy to get in. Let's get it in. It gets us back to some of the foundational reality crafting that I want to make sure you all feel in the game.
All right. Vermifuge says the Pontificate emote was apparently made teachable, but only to those who newly acquire it. Will anything be done to correct this for those that already have this emote? Yeah, I just forwarded this over to Atwood. He'll get that at Jira for that, and we'll fix it. We just need to redeliver the emote to you guys. Just force the redelivery of the offer. Cambrius. Oh, so thank you for the reminder, Cambria. So Cambria says, since their quest for learning master skill training already implemented, cannot all adventure skills and combos be learned from specific quest trainers? So I forgot to mention this as part of the economy balance. We are actually right now we have the concept of like learning the top tier skill in any given tree, like in the case of magic, like learning like summon an elemental. You go on a quest to learn that, but that's basically the only time we ever use that feature. And so one of the things we're going to do is we're going to have those earlier in the skill trees. So like for instance, in the Blade school to learn Rend, you'll have a quest along with a gold reward. Again, getting gold earlier for younger players. So you'll have a little quest or an action that you'll do for the trainer. So and you'll get a gold reward for that. I don't think we're not going to go as far as making a quest for literally every skill. That would be actually punishing, not rewarding. But we're going to do it for some signature skills earlier in the tree, probably one at each. We have tiers, so there's like a tier 1 skill, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. So we'll probably at most do one from each tier. Signature ones for that school, like Rend for Blade, as an example. I think I was picking like Blinding Shot for the next one for Arch for ranged as another example.
Rapid Shot.
Well, that's tier 3. I was picking a tier 2. But yes, so the concept definitely in there. Thank you for the reminder. I'm going to make sure I add that to my post because I forgot to include that in my post and in the description earlier I made about the economy. Combrius also asks, does the player have to know skill combos from the start, or is it better or more fun for the player to discover them from experimentation? So right now all combos are listed.
Yeah. That was one of those things that I've mentioned before that somebody on the team added without asking if we wanted it or not. And we haven't removed it just because effort was put into putting it in there. But I honestly don't like having it known from the start, and I'd rather have players. I mean, honestly, most players will probably end up going to a wiki and looking it up to do it the first time, and then we can show it to them after they've done it once. But there are a lot of players who enjoy the I'm going to find something. It also lets us do things like we can add combos and, hey, did you find it? Because until you find it, you may be the first guy to find it.
So I think what we probably would like to end up with is still have that interface, but do like we do with crafting, where you can find them from quests. You can discover them through experiments, etc. So yes, right now we'd rather not have them all available, viewable up front. We just haven't done it. But we should get that in Jira, because I don't think we ever got it in Jira. Blackfire 1, what kind of spell combos can we look forward to? Lots and gazillions of them.
So I've got a list of over 200 combos that were created before. I'm going to go through and see what skills people are actually using, what schools people are using again. I do this every now and then kind of push down. Okay, I'll call it nerfing. I'll nerf the ones that are way, way on top and try to figure out why the ones that are on the bottom are on the bottom. Just as a sign of the economy right now, none of the top 25 skills or spells are spells that use reagents. So they're all tier 1 and 2 in the top 25, and it's beyond that. And that's because players are avoiding using reagents as much as possible because 99% of you are poor. It's really more like 90% of you are poor, not 99%. That's still a pretty large percentage. But anyways, I will go and take a look and see where we need some love and see what needs manipulating based on, again, looking at usage that players, trying to factor in that low-level players don't always use what they want to use. They use what they start with. So.
All right. So we should do another prize, and then I want to answer some questions from Discord.
All right. What do we got, Lum, next for prizes? We gave away a couple of aeronaut outfits, some kodos, some store credit,
I want to give away a weapon.
a weapon.
All right, so we're giving away a store credit for $10 to a Kalabeth,
Congrats,
and
Palabeth.
10 kodos for Palinor,
Congrats, Palinor.
a pack of breathing fire remotes to Will, a reminder that I need more than 3 seconds notice to pull a winner to Atos,
Oh, you're fast. Thank you, Lum.
and a winner of a unique weapon crafted by someone who needs to know to give me more than 3 seconds notice is Caladan. Caladan is seek Atos out in game and get
Contact me
whatever
on
weapon he can make you.
Discord, and I will get you set up.
Spelled ATOS, right?
Yes.
Congrats, everybody. We'll be giving away, we have a few more left in this postmortem, so stay tuned.
All right. Now I'm jumping into some questions from Discord and Twitch. Lord Grease wants to know where there will ever be add-on store expert crafting stations. Right now, those were either and will continue to be for the foreseeable future pledge or bundle or rewards. So we do not plan currently to sell those a la carte. So if you would like those, you need to buy a bundle. That is how. So.
Although there's a very small chance that something similar will be offered in game soon, that Star has heard nothing about.
Right. Okay.
Which is why I bring it up in front of the audience of 800 people or however many are watching this. I'm sure it's not
Which locks it in. All right. Gemini wants to know, is the ship from Arters to Hidden Vale being reintroduced? No, that was only temporary until Brittany was built, and the real ship to Hidden Vale, because Hidden Vale is in the north. As soon as Brittany was built, we put the actual real boat in, as outlined in the cloth map. So, nope, not coming back. Twitch question from the Vooch. Are we going to do anything to increase the amount of gold? I know a few people are getting frustrated. I think we had a very long answer to that earlier in the stream about economy. And I'm going to be posting about that, which will be linked in the weekly update. Renee, when can we expect the summon skeleton to have more than one very slow attack and better response time to threats? Also, there's a similar question from Ether Bunny. Mage summon effectiveness. Will this be explained, implemented, made better? I can has good summon. Ooh. Actually, I guess that's big eyes.
Yeah, that's big eyes.
That's big eyes and a.
And you said it wrong. It should be I can has good summon.
Oh.
You didn't put enough inflection in
there. I can has good summon.
There you go.
I can has cheeseburger. All right. We do understand the big issue here is that the innates related to improving the power of your summoned creatures in the mage schools just aren't effective enough, and so we just haven't had time to go look at those. But we know it needs love, and we'll get there. Maybe.
Sorry, Fed people. Some kind of sucked on it. First couple of releases.
Q4, we hope to get it made better. Headquake. Can we expect to see faction PvP coming to the game?
It's kind of like a realm.
I haven't answered that
thing.
I don't want to talk about it on air.
Okay.
No comment?
We'll be talking more about PvP next release. Ether Bunny. Are weapon shields, etc., supposed to be taking that much durability loss? Yeah, there's something going on with what things held in your hand taking durability hits greater than armor. We know there's a problem there.
I have not looked into that, and I will look into that to make sure the math is what I expect it to be.
Headquake. When can we expect housing and POT to be finished and more focus being put on other features of the game? Interesting reaction and optic there. Just for reference on amount of resources being spent on that, we are a 33-person team. At any given time, there are maybe 3 resources total being spent on housing. and player-owned towns, at most. Sometimes less than that. So while it may appear that now it happens to be a very visible one because those are things that go in the store and that players are building stuff with. And we just had a housing selection, lot selection sequence and things like that. It actually is a very, very small percentage of our team that is working on it at any given time. 3 people at most out of 33.
Yeah, I think it's come up in stand-up notes that there's someone you may see a note about Bob the Builder.
Yeah.
There's literally one person who has built all but one house in the game, and that's not the only thing he works on either. He also works on other stuff.
So, and we have Hutch, who works on the maps, the scene templates for that, but he also does like 2,000 other things too. So he does all the sky work in the game. He does a bunch of the trees and stuff in the game, which have nothing to do with, aren't specific to Don's. I mean, he's our art lead, so he manages the entire art team. So, so he's not even a full-time resource working on housing. So I get how there's some optics associated with this, but this is not the focus of our team by any stretch of the imagination.
And it also, to keep in mind, that is a large point of monetization, which helps us keep the team large working on the other stuff. So, I mean, really, if you look at it realistically by numbers, the housing is a very positive impact on the development of the project in terms of content that players want.
Yeah. Yeah, it keeps the lights on.
Yeah.
So the lights that you can see our faces with right now are what gives you the game that you're playing right now. So
Richard doesn't have these lights though, which is
Richard is missing those lights, but the rest of us with these lights, that's how it works.
Yeah, we don't have the mood lighting.
Yeah, so that housing pays for all the stuff you're playing with. All right, let's see. Hardcore Oakstein asks if we have any comments on the perceived small size of scenes and the overland while traveling. Any comments at all? So there performance. So our choice we made really early on was making sure that scenes could perform, and also it is the second is bandwidth. So we are a small team, and so our ability to build, the bigger a scene is, the longer it takes to polish it and make it look awesome. And so by keeping the scenes at a reasonable size, it takes less time to polish them and make them look beautiful. It also takes us less time to tune and balance them from a gameplay perspective. So that's part of it. Additionally, we can get more scenes of greater variety by keeping their size of a certain kind. So those are a lot of, so those are my comments.
You want me to comment too?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, all the stuff Star just said, it also helps us roll out, bite-sized chunks of content more quickly to you guys. So it's one of those things, would you rather have, an eighth as many zones that are twice as far across, because that's about what it would work out to. It's not even linear expansion in terms of time. We probably will experiment with larger scenes at some point. Of course, there's future episodes, and what we will do for those has not been set. We will definitely continue to experiment with things, though. We've had some memory problems. We continue to have some memory problems, although machines, technology are fortunately catching up with us. We've had some performance problems that this also helps address, keeping the scene smaller, but those are also falling by the wayside. Hopefully we will be on getting a very large performance bump this next release, not like 2% or a frame per second, but 30% or more performance boost in our bad scenes. So as the restrictions start to fall away, we will consider these larger scenes. But right now it makes the most sense to continue doing the size things we're doing, which are about around a kilometer square.
Well, 30 or 40%, that's pretty good. That's a significant percentage.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I think it'll be.
And if we just take even longer to make the game, Moore's law will make everybody's machine catch up to our demands.
That's exactly right. We just got to keep developing
Yeah,
slower.
we just got to take longer. Yeah, great. It's perfect. All right. I'm going to skip back to questions from the original post. Blackfire1 wants to know, will health potions get multiple tiers
Yes.
of various strengths?
Absolutely.
Oh.
And they will be more meaningful.
Oh, okay. I found something new out. Okay, let's see. Juicy or Juzzy wants to know, will there be improvements in feeling valuable with reaching 70s, 80s in a skill, and of course a GM?
I tweaked that question slightly to make it clear. Maybe it's not clear enough, but that question, the original question, thank you, Juzzle. I think it is actually, Juzzle. The question was basically expressing as players gain skills, it becomes, in some cases, it feels like, well, geez, it was valuable in the beginning for the first few dozen, 30, 40, 50 as they ranked up. And then, well, now it's tapering off, and they want to know, how do we keep that excitement going as they reach those very, higher skill levels?
Well, okay, so that's a challenge because you can have it's this sort of cake and eat it too problem, right? Because you can have, there's basically two advancement curves you can have, or there's two methods of advancement. You can have linear advancement or you can have exponential advancement. In a linear advancement, you're basically the amount of return you get and how much a skill improves and how much better it gets every time you advance is equal from the beginning till the end. So, which means that you see the same sort of incremental improvement from level 1 to 2 as you see from level 71 to level 72. Or which we are moving towards, and which what we had to do with the taming. And so a good example is the taming thing we just did. So the initial changes we made to taming, we had it on that linear curve, or not curve, that linear advancement model. But we quickly had to move it to an exponential curve where you saw more returns earlier on to get it to a much earlier effectiveness level, which means, unfortunately, for people who are wanting this big, awesome, exciting returns later, well, no, you can't have both. You have to have it sort of taper off at the end, because you either get you accelerate quickly and start tapering off towards the end, or you have even sort of slow, steady snail wins the race. You can't have both. You're still getting incremental improvements at those higher levels, but
it takes a little longer.
It just takes longer. It does slow down at the end, but that's what you get in exchange for exciting improvements at the beginning.
Yeah, and as you gain levels like that, then you're working more. It takes a little bit longer, but think about everybody else everybody's equal in that regard. So anybody who's level 70, say skill 75, and you're 80, that's 5 points difference, but that's significantly better than skill 5 to 10.
So there's a couple things that we've tried to achieve and all this. Like, one thing we've said from the start was this was not going to be a grinding game. I know people are out there saying they're grinding, but the point is the way the experience is set up is we have it set up so about every 10 points it takes about twice as much skill. So it gets more and more and more costly experience-wise to raise your skill level. Now the results from that work on pretty much a square root curve. So having a 100 skill is not twice as good as a 50. A 100 skill is twice as good as a 25. An 80 skill is about 90% as good as a 100 skill, but only requires a quarter of the experience. Now the reason for this is we have said all along we push no grinding and we push skill play. So we don't want players to just be equivalent to how much they've done, how much grinding they've done. We don't want players who've spent days and days and days out grinding to make it so players who've only spent hours out grinding have no chance. We want to make sure and keep the skill in there. So that's part of making sure that once you kind of hit a minimum level, you are going to be capable of beating players or competing with players for content who have spent 10 times as much grinding. I had a player recently who contacted me because they were concerned because they saw someone who had 18 GMs. So that's one of those things. I think it's just natural to compare yourself to other people. But really, the idea is not, so GM is not the end of the line for us. We put a Grand Master title of GM on 100 because that is a big achievement. For most skills, it takes about 1 million experience points applied specifically to that skill. And it is also, we want to set a point where we consider you a Grand Master and we can give benefits to other people who are around you. But in terms of the actual results, a GM is not significantly better. It's 10% better than 80, which is about 10% better than a 60. So again, it's a very small curve. But again, when you get down to the real skill players, that extra 5% is all they need. So again, pushing for reduced grinding, you can be competitive sooner because of the curve, and that we're also pushing for skill play so that it does not come down to who has done the most grinding. We want new players to be able to jump in the game and compete with players who've been in the game for a year.
So we're always looking at, no matter what skills level you're at and how it compares to other players, you always are at a place that's beneficial. You have opportunities to take advantage of whatever skill level you're at in the game. It's not just, 85 is a void. There's nothing absolutely special about it beyond 80.
Yeah. And that's a much bigger talk that we've talked about in the past, but as you continue to level, 100 is not the cap. I think some people don't realize that. They just assumed Ultima Online cap 100. It
goes all the way to 200, doesn't it?
It'll go to 200, but I could turn it up past that. But 200 is, theoretically it could be achieved. It can't actually be achieved. There's no way because of decay, which is, when we've talked about this in the past, the way Ultima Online did is they basically said you can have X skills, and once they get to 100, basically here's how many points you can spend total on your skills, and after that you just can't. All you're doing is bouncing against.
So what do we? So for people who are just getting started in the game, what is the absolute max right now?
There is no absolute max. I mean, 200 is where right now I have the math stops at 200, but you really, as you get higher, like I said, about every 10 points it does a little more than double. It's about 110% more experience for every 10 points of skill. And then, as people know, there's a very small decay amount that gets subtracted from skills currently when you die. So basically, you can continue pushing that higher and higher and higher, getting like a little, a couple of percent better than somebody else. But then that means that when you die, you're going to have that much more penalty that you're going to lose on those. So you kind of get to a point where you can keep a certain number of skills at a certain level, but you're not going to be able to push everything to GM. You're not going to, you kind of have to pick what skills you want that extra 5% in. But anyways, the main reason is we don't want, as cool as it would be if you got twice as powerful and twice as powerful and twice as powerful as you leveled up, that has actually been one of our goals because it makes it tough. It makes it very tiered content, so you have exact content. Oh, I'm level 55, I need to be exactly in this spot. I'm level 60, I need to be exactly in this spot. And if you get ahead of that, you're going to get slaughtered. It also makes it so when you get to the end game stuff, the content is exactly tiered to the point that you can't get to tier 2 content, even though you're max level, you can't get to tier 2 content until you've got all tier 1 content. And then at tier 2 content, you can't get to tier 3 until you got all tier 2. And it makes for this very tough progression for players who come in late and don't want to spend, don't want to invest the time. Specifically working against that to make sure that players can be competitive very early on. With the 10th of playtime, you should still be able to be competitive with players who've spent more time. I can talk a lot more, but I'll shut up.
I think we have more questions. It's good.
Okay. All right. We should do a prize.
Oh, yeah, and more prizes. We didn't give Lum a warning, though, so.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
We have, this time, we have $10 in store credit goes to Chojin. And 10 Kodos goes to Yig and Demion. And Chris, do you want to give out a special weapon this time?
I'll pick a third one.
What?
Yeah.
All right, so winner of an Atos unique weapon, seek him out in Discord so that he can know who to give it to. Winner of the Atos unique weapon is Theleb Karna.
I've heard that name.
And finally, we're going to give away this time a 4-pack of Prosperity gathering tools, I believe is what they are.
Yep.
And the winner of that is Rand. Rand wins the 4-pack of Prosperity.
And by the way, I have another window open into the live game, and I have crafted a whole bunch of weapons myself too. And if you give me a number between 1 and 15, I am going to pick somebody random on 15 pages of my friends that are in the game right now, and just blindly point at one, and then I'm going to go zone to that person and give them one of my magic swords.
What?
Whoa.
Crazy town. All right. Vaclav.
Well, Richard, your number is 11.
Thank you very much. Number 11. I'll say who that is in just a moment.
All right. Vaclav asks, would we please publish an official chart of the amount of XP needed to level each
No.
skill? Okay. All right.
There you go. Answer.
Just so people know, I'm actually the one who pushes to not enable the min-maxers out there by giving like all the numbers on things. I will occasionally tell formulas on stuff just so people understand things better, but really experience is one of those things. I get so many questions on what can I do to maximize my experience gain? What can I do to maximize, how should I spend my experience? You know, I want to make sure, my pool, is it best to optimize? I prefer the idea of players just play and quit worrying about the min-maxing so much. I know you won't stop, but as I mentioned in the previous section, that extra 10% of experience you might be getting or think you're gaining is not going to make that much difference in the long run. Just play, have fun. Or grind, whatever,
Yeah.
I don't care.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Yeah, good luck with that. All right. Let's see. Amethyst25 wants to know, will there be a buyback from vendors for selling something by accident? Or will we be able to, say, put items in a backpack and set it to not to sell?
So this is the players are putting things on public vendors, and then it gets sold off to the bank. So the real reason for this is we originally had...
No. She's talking about merchants.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
They're using vendors, but she means merchants.
Buyback from vendors for selling something. Okay, so
They're
not expiring vendors. Okay.
No, they're not using our nomenclature. They're
All right.
they're calling merchants vendors.
I can't talk to these people. They aren't using our nomenclature.
They mean merchants.
Yes.
So it's the oh shit, I didn't mean to sell my +8 sword.
Yes. It's one of those things I know long term we will absolutely have, but
yeah, long term.
right now we're hardcore.
Yeah.
Learn to play.
And I just gave the sword to Sean McGalbraith.
Sean,
who,
congrats.
was running around in what map is this? Brightbone Pass, and is enjoying fighting his way through. Now with a +7 sword.
So you're running around in the game right now, Richard. So if anybody's playing the game, you can find him. I think you have like thousands of friends already on your list.
I do, and 6 people just friended me in the time that we've been running this contest.
Nice.
Yeah. Just so everyone knows, Richard has been our extreme use case for our friends system
He broke it.
to see if it works.
Yeah, he adds everybody. It's just like me adding
So-
everybody in
it's
the
so problem
forums.
with having him this long, it constantly scrolls without me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Belladonna Rose asks, will the PRTs, these are the, will be loaded with NPC vendors, she means merchants, to accommodate folks who move into them so they can adjust to their new homes better. Okay, so nomenclature things. So when we use 2 different terms. So a vendor for us is a NPC that players can put items on to sell to other players. A merchant is someone who sells goods and you can sell goods to them. So that's how we use those 2 terms. And then a PRT for new players is what we call a player-run town, which is not a player-owned town, but it is a town with minimal NPC support versus like an NPC town that has like story NPCs, lots of merchants in it, public vendors that players can put things on, large crafting pavilions with lots of crafting stations. And so Belladonna is asking, can we beef up the NPC infrastructure in those towns? And the short answer is we don't currently plan on that because the idea is that players would fill in that gap with their own services. And if we put more NPC merchants in there, we'd actually be competing with players. So the idea is that players would provide those services because player run towns are meant to be a equivalent of player owned towns, except the fact that you don't have to wait for permission from a player to move into it. So we don't actually want to compete with other players in those seats. So we put a minimal number of player NPC services like a bank and some basic merchants, but we purposely didn't put a lot of NPC merchants in there. So the answer is no. Sorry.
I want to take your question here because I think there's some bugs associated with I meant to look into today, but
Okay.
I've been nonstop meeting. Someone mentioned, are you going to fix the wolf hats? Which is actually, I'm not entirely sure. There's two different things going on with the wolf hats and bear hats. And by the way, if you hear me say wolf and it sounds like I'm like enunciating or something on, it's because for the first 45 years of my life, I said woof. And then people would say woof, like a dog. I was like, no, woof. You know, like the
say wolf 5 times fast.
Woof, 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 woof. Yeah. So anyway, so that's why I do that now. And he also has a wolf on his shirt.
I'm a fan
sure
of
he's
wolves.
very sensitive to the pronunciation.
So how are we
anyways,
gonna fix them?
so there's bear hats and wolf hats. So there was a problem a week or two ago. We actually had a few people. We have some safeguards in the game that will ban people if they exceed some levels of production, some levels of creation of stuff, gold appearing out of thin air type stuff. And those two different things were actually triggering some safeguards that we have on because, of course, we don't have a CS team that's on in the middle of the night to watch all this stuff. We watch pretty carefully during the day. But people would make tons of these during the night and they'd trigger some of these safeguards and would actually, the system blocks the person from logging in until we have a chance to look at it. And those two were odd in that they had some bad values in them. So that was one thing that was broken with them before. My apologies to the 5 or 6 people who got blocked by that issue. But the other one was, it sounded like last night when I was in Discord, players were saying they were getting stuck when they would craft a wolf helm or a bear helm, that they would get stuck crafting, get stuck in the crafting on just those two items, which was a little suspicious that. And a few people confirmed that it started happening on that patch when that change went in. So we need to go look at things. But anyways, we balanced some of the numbers for the bear and wolf hat creation stuff. So hopefully people will not be getting blocked on those things anymore. And that we need to look into whether they're getting stuck. So I'm not sure which issue they were talking about, but here's both the rundown on those two things.
Does that mean we have to make another R33 path?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Carlin, the Druid Archer, wants to know when are we going to see more? When are the real NPC models going to replace the placeholders? I added the quotes. So we definitely are going to be doing more polish on our NPCs. So I mentioned earlier in the stream. So one of the tasks that's on the character team is we're going to do themed clothing for each of the major cities. So the first one on the queue is Arteris. So there's going to be guard, royal, and citizen clothing that's going to match the sort of Asian theme of that city. And that merchant outfit we've been using with the little potions on the belt, and that's actually going to be the merchant outfit for that city. And we're going to be making a new, more sort of traditional medieval European merchant outfit for elsewhere in the game. And we also have a set of new faces for NPCs that we haven't actually put in the game yet, that Kevin made. As part of that, we'll be rolling those out as well. So it's coming. And then Carlin also asked, will we see NPC models using some of the excellent props the team has made for players, like smoking pipes, fishing, wearing interesting clothing? So we already have some NPCs that are fishing already. We don't yet have them smoking pipes, but you're going to see more of that as we do more polish across the NPCs. So you'll see more of that slowly over time. I think we've been working on fireworks. That's the latest one I think we were working on recently. But you'll see them doing more stuff, more props, more behaviors.
Or at the same time, smoking while fishing. I think that'd be cool.
Smoking while lighting
chair.
fireworks, while fishing, while playing a lute.
Or fireworks to fish, like
scare
a
away
little
the fish.
TNT in the water, to make it a little quicker, right?
Richard, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was going to say again, if you look at those the early towns on the Love Quest, those kinds of polishes are more deeply in there than other places. Although you're adding new capabilities, so they'll be even better. But if people are sort of evaluating how active the NPCs are emoting, then I would go to those early Love towns to be judgmental.
And I can't believe Carlin is hating on our NPC models. Come on, that beggar model that you see like all over the place. I think we should have that as a Halloween reward. What?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say we should have a potion that makes you look like that beggar does, because that would look like a scary mask. It does look pretty hideous.
Incognito potion. Okay.
He's almost as good as the guard. That guard looks so awesome.
Yeah, the really best thing was when we put up that OkCupid profile for the beggar model.
Yeah, that was good. All right, Polaris Penguin asks, would there be more general quests outside of the paths? And will the mail delivery adjustments? Not sure.
Mail delivery adjustments. Well, there already are more and more of those, not strictly speaking on the main Truth, Love, and Courage threads events going in. But yes, there'll be more and more over time. So, and I'm not exactly sure what they mean about adjustments in the mail quest.
They're talking about the quests that we put in really early in the game when you had mail delivery, so you could go see a town crier and take a piece of mail to another town. The problem is that
they still work.
We put them in when we had 4 towns. We have more than 4 towns now.
Oh, I'll write a JIRA for that for you.
Yes, please do, and assign it to me. I've already got some plans, basically having regional and mail and sorting it out like that.
All right. So I'm going to do one more question from Polaris, and then so Polaris asks, the Love Path quest with the Spirit Talker going in the Necropolis seemed to involve a sudden jump in difficulty. Is it set this way on purpose?
No.
No?
All right, there you go.
Okay. All right.
We're actually going to fix it, and it's been on my plate, and hopefully we'll get to it at this release.
And Cinderia, we do intend to add more pets.
Well, so let's read things. So let's read. So Cinderia asks, can we expect that all animals will be tameable? I've been waiting for 8 months to tame a huge scorpion. So we will add more tameable pets. We will add more animals to which you can tame. But as you guys know, we don't have a ton of animals in the game overall. So step 1 is get more animals in creatures in the game. Step 2 is make them tameable.
I think Cinderia, the real thing she wants, as we all know, is she wants to be able to get the giant versions of stuff so that she can go into town and annoy the crap out of everybody else by pulling up her giant scorpions in the middle of dance parties and stuff. I understand the need.
Scorpion dance party, I like that.
All right. So
Scorpion.
Yeah, it's not a scorpion, man. It's Novia. No scorpions.
I'm sensing a theme for this month's dance party.
All right. Sorry about the glitches on the stream. We promise it will be better next time. We're gonna do some troubleshooting, figure out what happened.
Do better than our 48K modem.
Yeah, we'll figure out what the problems were, why we couldn't get on YouTube. and why we had to down res and why we had that hiccup at the beginning. So we'll do better next time.
Just for clarity, though, it is much clearer than it was before. Before we were broadcasting at this resolution and at a really bad jumpy frame rate. So
Yeah.
it is much better than it was. We just we need to figure out why our bandwidth should be sufficient but isn't.
And it'll be on YouTube as well. So if you missed the broadcast or you're tuning in and you missed half of the event, don't worry about it. It'll be on YouTube at youtube.com/.
So I know there are a ton of questions that did not get answered. So I've got a Google Doc with all the ones that were posted before and a bunch of ones that were done in chat. So I got to work on the weekly update right after this, but I will try and do a post in the forums and try and answer as many as I can. If not tonight, maybe sometime this weekend. But I'm going to start with the goodbyes and the thank yous. So you guys are awesome, and you gals and all of you in the community are an amazing, amazing group. Again, I say this every time, I've never worked with a community like this before. We are a crowdfunded project. The only way this game exists is through your incredible generosity, not just monetary, but your time giving us feedback, time asking questions like these, and not just easy ones, but hard ones too. So thank you very much for your support. Thank you for your patience. We're not done yet. We are persistent, but that doesn't mean that we're done making the game. That doesn't mean we're done changing things. That doesn't mean we're not done balancing and making things better. And thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being patient with us.
And thank you for generating so much content in the game for yourselves as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, the second what Star said is, yes, we are persistent, but we by no means think that we're done. For those, I know there's some people who are freaking out that there was a glitch, there was a bug, an exploit, and they missed it and somebody else got it. Don't worry about it. It's all going to even out over the next year. I mean, month from now, you won't even know the difference between those. What's somebody who got the exploit versus you didn't. So we are continuing to work on things. We are continuing to add features. As I mentioned, I'm going to be adding a bunch of skills on the community thing. Just another reminder of what a great community we had. I think was it PC Gamer just ran
That's right. Yeah.
Ran a big article on our music stuff. I think he mostly talked about Holt, who is amazing, and probably the reason the music in the game turned out so great with his just because he was organized on things. But just also a shout out to all the other people who helped on that stuff, including Ember, who I think didn't get mentioned in the article at all, and did quite a few songs and a few of the other people in there.
Creating music specifically for our game. So we have bands, we have people creating music, doing all sorts of things in the game. And as the community manager, that's what I find really special about this community that I've not seen in any other community, is how much they create for each other. And that's what's so special. And we see this all the time in the forums. We have the community events section of the forums, which for the weekly update, we'll update to let you guys know what's happening in the community in the game for special events that you guys are driving. And if there's anything that you want us to share on social, on Twitter, or just recognize, we're watching the forums, we're watching socials, ping that, send that to us. Let me know. PM me. I'm Barrick in the forums. Just send me a PM and say, hey, we're doing this cool thing. Can you put it on Twitter? Absolutely glad to do that for you guys.
I see someone in the forum saying, tell them to turn archive broadcast videos on.
It's on.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you and goodbye from me as well. Next time I'll have a light so I don't look quite as angry or drunk or crazy or whatever it might be. But enjoyed having this hangout with all of you, and look forward to continuing to present you with fun entertainment. And thank you for the support to do it.